Hey everyone, my name is Sophie from Sophisticated Organization, and I know a lot of us deal with paper clutter and paper organization issues, and today I specifically want to focus on all of the incoming papers that you have into your house. So not all of the documents and records, we'll talk about that at another time. Today is more things like receipts that you have coming in, maybe school flyers, your daily mail, all of that stuff. And I know it can be really overwhelming with paper continuously coming into your house. But I feel like if you come up with a system and a strategy that works for you, you can really get a grip on it and realize it's not that difficult to tackle your incoming papers. Step one is to find a location that's going to work best for you. And this could be more than one location. And I'll explain that a little bit more as we go here, because there are going to be several steps that it takes to organize these papers. Find a spot that is going to be where it's most helpful for you right when those papers come in, and then a spot that it's going to be helpful for you to sit down and go through the papers. Now, those could be the same spot. They could be different spots. Or it could be one spot that's maybe like a basket that you could bring around to different rooms. So it could be a basket in your entryway for when papers come in, and then you move that basket maybe to your kitchen table or to your office when it's time to actually go through them. So creating a spot that's going to work for you is step one. Step two is to figure out who does what in your family. Now, if you are the person that kind of goes through all of your mail, you manage all of the files, that makes it a little bit easier just because it doesn't deal with other people and there's less moving parts. Although then unfortunately you're the one dealing with everything. But if you have like a spouse in your house and you kind of split the responsibilities, you need to make sure that they have access and understand the system that you're setting up too. So for example, in our family, my husband is in charge of paying our bills, which I'm really grateful for. He stays on top of all of them. So I need to make sure the system that we have for incoming bills, he's involved with it and he knows where to find them and can stay on top of them. I mentioned that there can be multiple steps and stages as you bring your papers into your house. So the first step is bringing it through the front door. Right through our mudroom here, we have my kitchen island, and this is where step one happens with all of our mail and paper sorting. When we bring it in, we dump it right here. Jim is really great, my husband. He goes and checks the mail every single day and drops it off right here. Now, ideal would be the second papers come into your door, you take action, you throw them away, or you file them, or do whatever you need to do with them. But let's be honest, that's probably not realistic for everyone. A lot of times Jim wants to come through the door and say hello to me, say hi to our baby Owen. He wants to change into more comfortable clothing, have dinner, whatever it might be. It doesn't have to be right in that moment, although that is ideal. But I would say that the day that the papers come in, deal with it before you go to bed. Now, I talked about different steps, so deal with it before you go to bed, to me means take that first step. And that first step is, are you going to recycle that item? Are you going to shred it? Is it something you need to throw in the trash? Or is it something that's going to be an item that you need to hold on to for some reason, and therefore it needs to be in a separate pile and you need to keep it for later? So just doing that first step of trash, recycle, shred, and keep is going to take away probably like 70% of your incoming papers, if not more than that. Once you have the keep pile, then I like to file them into two-ish separate categories. The first one being your action items, and the second one being your reference items. So action items, things that you need to do, like we talked about paying bills, that would be an action item. Other things that you need to do something, or there's going to be maybe some consequence, maybe there's a date tied to it, there might not be a date tied to it, but those are things that you need to actually respond to and, like I said, take action. The other one is going to be reference documents. So things that you don't need to take action on, but they're reference items, you want to hold on to them. Those might be things like receipts. You don't need to do anything with your receipt necessarily, but you want to hold on to it just in case you're going to return whatever item that is keeping you holding on to that receipt. So for that, I like to bring it into my office, and I'll show you what I do over there. Once I bring all of the action and reference items into my office, if I have the time and if I can, I sort even further into those two categories. So the action items, I mentioned that my husband pays the bills. I'll put bills in a separate little folder for my husband, and he can grab that folder and go through the bills. I'll have separate folders for other items to try and keep it kind of subcategorized. But if you don't like to micro-organize like that, you can just leave it at the two categories, and that is definitely plenty. I also like to have a notebook or a whiteboard or something where I can write down notes to myself. Because a lot of times as you're bringing the mail in, it sparks something in you that something needs to get done, along with those action items that you can't necessarily put the bill in there and that's going to be your reminder. So an example might be, let's say you get a package that comes in the mail, or even an envelope that's a birthday card or some sort of a gift. I am then going to want to write a thank you note. So an easy thing for me to do is to jot down on that notebook or on the whiteboard that I keep right next to my files is to write a thank you note for fill in the blank gift. You could also, if you're feeling really ambitious, grab an envelope and a thank you note and address it and stick that in your action file, and then it'll be a reminder to write that thank you note, but it will also kind of take the first step for you, so it makes it a whole lot easier. Some other things I like to jot down are if I need to call somebody as a follow-up. I will sometimes have my weekly to-do list next to me as well. I can put those things in there. I can have my calendar open if I have coupons that are expiring or sales or anything that has a date tied to it that I want to have in my calendar. That's another great thing to put down in the notebook that you have next to you, on the whiteboard, or even if you have a calendar or a to-do pad like I do, you can write those things in there too. So now once you have your two categories, whether they're subcategorized in there or you're just having two large stacks of papers, you need to find a day of the week to sit down and go through your action items every single week. So if you've heard of the Sunday basket, that's kind of the strategy that I'm mentioning here. It doesn't need to be Sundays per se, but having a day every single week where you go through action items. I would even just kind of quickly go through your reference items, make sure nothing's outdated. If you have receipts in there and let's say it's a 30-day return window and that 30 days has passed, you can probably toss that receipt at that point. Or if you were holding on to like a paint sample and then you ended up buying that paint and you don't need it anymore, then you can toss whatever item you don't need anymore. So go through the reference items, but the really important category is to go through all of your different action items and take action. It might seem simple, but those are my biggest tips to keep all of your incoming papers as organized as you can. Remember, find a location that works for you. That could be more than one location. Work with the members of your family that are involved in your system and dealing with incoming papers. Deal with it on a daily basis if you can, and tackle those incoming papers the second they hit your countertop. Create a routine and find a day of the week that you can go through everything, go through your action items, and quickly flip through your reference items, and you are going to stay on top of your incoming papers, I promise you. If you liked today's quick video, I would appreciate if you give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and until next time, I will see you guys later.